welcome, everyone. Welcome to a new edition of Remixing Politics and Culture with me, your host, Pam. I hope you all have had a wonderful Thanksgiving break. We're back, and it's so good to see you all again. All right, just so you know a little bit about me, I am a public relations and marketing professional with a passion for social justice, voter advocacy, and culture. And tonight, we're going to have a very interesting conversation. We call it Culture Talk on the show. And the topic of today will be music that promotes violence, music that promotes conspicuous consumption, and has seemed to entrap our young Black people, young Black youth, into a cycle of violence, of killing each other. We're going to talk to my panelists, some of whom have direct intervention programs in their respective cities that they live in, and along with one special guest. All of them are special actually, but one guest that has a direct interesting connection with the hip hop culture and the community. So I am going to bring them up one at a time without further ado. Ladies first. I am going to bring up Barbara Gaskins. Hey, Barbara.
Hello.
Hey. So, Barbara, to introduce her, she is the former Democratic candidate for the U.S. Congressional District 3 in North Carolina. Her platform was reform of the criminal justice system on all levels. She is a nationally certified reentry coach, and she provides best practices and consulting services for reentry and peer support services throughout North Carolina and in New York. And that is so admirable, Barbara, because for those people who have been incarcerated, often the big issue is how do you transition back into the community? So she's our point person, one of our point people in that. Barbara has also created a PAC called the United Coalition for Hip Hop Culture. Also, her fiance, and I'm assuming that's him sitting next to you, and her belonged to the first family of hip hop, which was the Universal Zulu Nation. Never heard of it, but I'm glad to hear about it tonight. Welcome, Barbara, to the show.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. And next we have Calvin Mann. Uh-oh, Calvin. You there? Okay. He might be still trying to get it together. Okay. So I'm going to bring up Reginald. All right. Next we have this. Okay. We have Reginald. Hold on one second, Reginald. I have my notes in a certain order. Okay. And I met Reginald Mathis on IG because I was curious about his hair. With saving Black boys. And so I thought, what's that about? And I started following him. And Reginald is a Raleigh, North Carolina native, and he is the CEO of Saving Black Boys LLC. As a victim of Black on Black gun violence, Reginald became obsessed with trying to find a solution for Black on Black gun violence. His organization has the goal of illuminating and exposing the dangers of trap music, drill music, thug culture, and gangster mentality. Reginald is an educator at an HBCU in Raleigh and is striving towards obtaining his doctorate in higher education administration from Oregon State University. Welcome, Reginald, to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Uh-huh. Okay, let me see if my buddy Calvin is if he's available yet.
I'm
Calvin?
I'm I'm switching to the computer right now. I just got
Oh,
in.
okay,
All right, give me a second.
okay, okay. You want me to remove you from the screen or no? Where'd he? Oh, he's gone. Okay. Well, anyways, Calvin will be back with us very shortly. In the meantime, everyone, please, depending on what format you're on, please hit that like button if you're on YouTube or any of them. If you're on Facebook or LinkedIn, if you're on YouTube, please consider subscribing to the station, to the show as well. Okay. Let's see. Do I see Calvin? I don't see Calvin. All right. This is live. And can't you tell? Okay. Okay. Well, I tell you what. Let me tell you who Calvin is. And then when he comes on, we can go straight to our video and go from there. So Calvin Mann is from my hometown of Detroit, Michigan. He is, what happened to Barbara? We're having all kinds of technical issues tonight. This is weird. Okay. Calvin is the founder of two impactful award-winning programs in Detroit, Good Fathers Only, and Emmy, which stands for, oh boy, I'm having a time tonight. Emmy, which stands for Encourage Me, I'm Young, which has a day of observation in the state of Michigan, April 6th, as the Emmy National Respect Day. Okay, I've got Barbara back. Let me add her back to the screen. Okay. He is the author of 4 books, including an acclaimed children's book. Calvin Mann is the chief encourager and change agent, making a difference in the lives of men and their children with his Good Fathers Only organization, complete with an annual fatherhood conference and walk. He has a podcast and is a columnist. And we will welcome Calvin again when he comes back. I was hoping he'd be back by now so I could show the video. I'm going to show it anyway. So, audience and panelists, there was a video that led to this whole discussion in the first place of a record executive. This record executive got out of the business. He's a diehard Trumper. I just put that out there now. And that means that a clock can be right twice a day, right? But what he says, because one person tried to discredit him because of his politics, but I'll let you decide. I thought that what he said was very insightful and important. So let's get to it. I'm going to share that right now, and hopefully Calvin will join us when we get back from that. Hold on. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, here it is.
Of seeing that a rapper from Migos died, I just wanted to go ahead and make a video about something I had a unique experience in. So I directed a bunch of rappers, people like Gucci Mane, Snoop Dogg, Lil Yachty, the list goes on and on and on, okay? I learned a lot of things, and I have left the industry largely over my political beliefs, but there is something I want to impart to people to hopefully, make some sort of change happen. So I have a challenge to rappers, and I know some of you still follow me. I know a bunch of the celebrity blogs still follow me from trying to get news from music videos and things like that. So here's the truth. The truth is this. A bunch of young black male rappers keep dying. You know who's not dying? Record executives. The record executives that push for them to continue to make songs and create a culture that is obsessed with death, drugs, and sex. Period. The industry is obsessed with it, but those record executives, they're not dying because they don't push this culture on their own people, but they're encouraging you to push it on yours. They're paying you handsomely to do it. The reality is, I know a lot of you. A lot of you are good people. You're family guys. You're not the image that you put out there to the world. Why? Why don't you be the example? Stand up. I challenge you. Be the example. Make music about the culture you want to see. Don't just get online today and talk about how, whenever a rapper makes it,
His own people take him down. Don't just make those videos. Don't be sad. Don't rest in peace. None of that stuff. Be the change you want to see. Inspire it in your community. Reach out to other rappers and say, we have to stop. We're being used. You've been used for a long time. You know, they create this paradigm to make you believe that you're so important and your celebrity status is worth so much, but in truth, you're a pawn in their game and you always have been. The government has wanted to hold down communities of people in different ways through different methods for a very long time. Their method in the Black community has been to use entertainment to create a culture obsessed with death, drugs, sex, and money, so that they could create a false paradigm of what happiness and what success really was. And in doing so, they created a world that also made people more dependent on government, and as a result, gave themselves more power. The record executives that push you to do this, to go and continue to profit off the backs of your work, they're in cahoots with the elite. They're in cahoots with the government. They want you to think you're important, but in truth, you're just doing their dirty work for them, so stop. They've empowered you in ways that are real. You have an audience, you have platforms, you have the ability to make change. So go against the grain together. They're more afraid of you all together standing up and creating a new culture that's built around family, faith, freedom, doing the right thing, valuing life, than they are of anything else. So I challenge you, use your power to do the right things. If you continue to do the same thing you've done, more rappers like this are going to die. How many have to die before you change the culture? And let me tell you something else. There's a reason the record labels pay us more to do rap videos. They don't tell you that, do they? Do they tell you that they pay us more to do your videos? Because they do. They do it because they know it's more dangerous. They do it because they know it's more difficult. And they do it because, frankly, there's a lot of money laundering involved. Those labels wash a bunch of money through. We don't do it, but we know the labels are doing it 100%. Okay, they're then taking the money off the top end, and you see on your royalty check, oh, they spent $150,000 on this video. Did they? Because we didn't see $150,000. Okay, so, and to who? Their friend's company? A lot of times that's the case. Same thing with insurance companies. They charge us more to insure your videos, and it's because they know the culture that's been created. They know that the only possibility of a music video being shot up is on a rap video. And that's the truth. So change the culture. You have the power. Your people deserve it. You guys.
Okay. All right. So that was a mouthful, to say the least. Oh, Calvin is back. Calvin is here. Okay, there you go. Great. All right. So actually, I had decided to start with you first, Calvin. What did you think about what the record executive said?
So thank you for having me. Sorry I was late coming out of the mentoring program.
Mhm.
But what he said, I kind of already know, right? Well, we had a rap artist years ago. My brother had a rap artist, Vicious, was on the show Platinum, and we watched the culture closely, and we seen it up close. But we always looked at, Pam, as long as you know me, I've been contradicting the norm. I'm going against the norm.
Right.
Our whole movement was started around violence. We started our whole movement by laying shirts where kids were getting killed.
Right.
And so everything we do is to the restoration of family. And so what he said is spot on, which is kind of what we all should be talking about. We all should be developing a culture of family and not a culture of they. And music forms a culture. A lot of this music forms a culture of me, right? And they benefit, right? And so for me seeing it and what he's saying, kind of been new, kind of been working at it. But this violence piece is not just rap music. And I'm sure as we get into this conversation, we'll be able to share some of the main reasons also why the violence is happening.
Right. Okay. And I'm going to go to you next, Reginald, because you literally in your bio talk about really paying attention to the trap music, the drill music, and the thug culture, what have you. Briefly, tell me, what did you think about what this gentleman said?
Now, for me, it automatically made my mind go to one of the most interesting or mind-blowing or shocking things that I discovered when I was going through my self-actualization process. So when I heard him talk about the record labels and the things that he was saying, it automatically made me think about one of the most one of the most transformative things that happened to me as far as my self-actualization and my research and my discovery, or like the young folks say, when we become woke, I'm woke. Well, one of the things I discovered was the secret hip hop, the secret meeting regarding hip hop. And when I discovered the secret meeting regarding hip hop, it blew my mind. And because I come from a silver spoon, you know, and I thought thug culture was a way of life, and I know the music is what is what drove me down the wrong road or whatever in the early stages of my life. But I said all that to say, when I read that when I read that letter, it talked about how it was a secret meeting that took place regarding the record labels. I think it was in the late '80s. And make a long story short, they wanted to change the direction of hip hop from positivity to negativity. But the kicker was, what really blew my mind was the fact that they were doing this to fill the private prison system for profits. And
Yeah.
it blew my mind. So when I heard this young man say what he said, I mean, it was just like Mr. Mann said, Mr. Calvin T. Man, it made me think of that letter, but it also I think what he says is the truth. They need to start rapping about a culture that, you know, is something positive instead of negativity and death and destruction. It does nothing but it just causes misery on top of misery on generation after generation. And I'll say this, and then I'll let somebody else speak. But I came up with this saying. I feel like we're the only culture that'll go to the club, we'll dance to murder music all night. We'll drink liquor and dance to murder music all night. Go in the parking lot and kill each other, and then go to the funeral and pretend like we surprised and we're shocked. Okay, we wear those RIP T-shirts, and then we'll go right back to the same club and do the same thing the very next weekend.
Over again. So, Barbara, could you imagine any other culture doing something like that? If they were Armenians, if Armenians were doing the hip hop of the, I don't even like calling it hip hop, because the hip hop that I grew up
Right.
Exactly.
There you go.
And
There you
so I want to call this something else. You notice I didn't use it for describe you, what you're doing, but no other culture would do this. Nobody.
Absolutely. Country music will not do it. You will not find what we are doing to each other in any other genre of music. But also, what that executive did not talk about, like Reginald said, yes, we're hearing about a secret meeting. They're not talking about the contracts. You know, these artists are held under these contracts. You know, they're not talking about the insurance policies that they're putting on these rappers. You know, they're not talking about the ghostwriters. A lot of them don't even, of course, you know, we know that half of them don't even live or what they rap about. You know, we know that. And we know that the original concepts of hip hop was actually born for Black and brown people as a way to step up and to stand out, and to speak up and speak out about the injustices going on. In addition to bringing my fiance, I did bring Red Dragon on, and Jermaine as well. They are members of Universal Zulu Nation as well. Red Dragon is one of the organizers. And so, yes, I brought family with me tonight. This is something that, you know, we have to take our history, our family, our culture back. You know, hip hop is our culture. You know, music in general. And we have DJ JC from the Ultramagnetics also. So we came to talk. Like, we're ready to deal with our youth and to get our youth and our people back.
Okay, get our people back. I like that. So let me switch the conversation a little bit. So one of the biggest issues in our community is the action, and that's not, and there's not a lot of support when we criticize our own. So I was going to ask you, Calvin, because of you having two organizations, particularly I know with Good Fathers, and I know what that's all about. If you trying to reconnect men with their children, and you've done a very excellent job with that. Are there any other organizations pairing up with you in Detroit to kind of further your impact, or
So,
even outside of the city? I mean, or outside of the state of Michigan, even.
well, I mean, there are a number of different. We have a number of different collaborators as far as CNS Healthcare,
Hmm.
Huntington Bank,
Hmm.
Chase has come through, Flynn Foundation.
Hmm.
We have we try to reach out to a number of other agencies. We work. I sit on the fatherhood policy group, the
Hmm.
Detroit Fatherhood Policy Group, and a number of other boards. But when you talk about solutions,
Hmm.
this is where things go awry, right?
Okay, that's, yeah, and that's the thing. That's the
Yeah. When we're talking solutions, right? What is a solution if it doesn't have the truth and the meat behind it?
thing. Hmm.
And when the fact that I'm talking about fatherhood, we as a culture across the board don't even actually know the complete value of what fathers are. So it starts with the boy. And
Hmm.
as I said before, in that boy is a seed for fatherhood. And in that process, a father must cultivate the seed in the boy. Everything else, right, is what is impacting the family. So if you remove the father, you destroy the kid. Period. Across the board.
Hmm.
When you remove when fathers don't step up or be involved,
Hmm.
we're destroying the kid. When the father's denied access to his child, we're destroying the kid. So
Absolutely.
when we get into the pimping, the plan, the procrastination, and looking at the way that we see ourselves, the actual conditioning of our culture is the opposite.
Hmm.
Now you see her as one way and you see him as another way. So there are two economies within our culture right now. Is her economy and his economy. His economy is funerals, death, guns, videos, absent fathers, caskets, right? Prison, jail. This is his economy, right?
Hmm.
Her economy is education, right? The system. She's back, right? So when you have the opposite, it is very hard for males to see themselves the way that they're supposed to see themselves
Hmm.
because we've conditioned our culture into this. And this is not a strike against mothers,
No.
but we've conditioned our culture in mamaism and not daddyism. And so
Hmm.
when we did that, what has happened is you have the girl going up and you have
Hmm.
the boy going down. And then now what you're seeing is because the girl doesn't have that father as well,
Hmm.
both of our children, both of our black men and black women
Hmm.
are both number one in being incarcerated.
Hmm.
Black women are being incarcerated at a very high number as we speak, right? And
Hmm.
so
Barbara would know that for sure.
right? And so when we get into the meat of it, the solution is family restoration. And the only way you can do that is we got to come out of the pimping, the plan, the procrastination, and we got to come out of that our prowess leads the way against our women and has us divided, men and women. We got to come out of these areas where a boy doesn't have his father and the girl doesn't have the father. These are the areas, and then we have to set a cultural standard
Hmm.
because if we
We
set
had all of that. We
wait,
had it.
we had it, but even then, when you go back and you do the research, even then, the system when they researched this, they knew we didn't like each other. So we bring in feminism. They knew we didn't like each other. So they brought in feminism and they brought in you couldn't be in the home, the 64 Food Stamp Act,
Oh,
and then they dropped in drugs, the drug culture,
yeah.
right? And then we announced war on drugs. So when we go through the process in 1969, the criminal president, he was the governor, Ronald Reagan, instituted the no-fault divorce. In January 1st of 1970, 85,000 women filed for divorce. 85,000. That's January 1st, 1970. What we did was we blew the family up. We brought in wars because they saw in World War II that women would work. So let's move the man into his economy. So the 65, 68, we just begin to knock off. And what has happened is now that the family is destitute, we built all these things around the family issues. And so now what you see is death is a norm because the absence of the father. Period.
Interesting. So Reginald, so we just got a taste of what Calvin's talking to people about with his Good Fathers Only organization. But with your organization, which I know is fairly new, right?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you how are you have you figured out how you're going to approach people, or our people in particular? One thing you do have, you've got a captive audience on the HBCU campus, but how are you going to address the negative music? I don't even like to call it music. I call it body part music for the most part. But I mean, as they're talking about body parts, I was listening and I was like, what did he just say he was doing? I mean, it's crazy. And I've been in radio for a long time. I've been in media for years, and I cannot believe the stuff that's allowed to play on the air. But
Right.
anyway, I digress. So how are you planning or looking to address the music issue within your organization, Saving Our Black Boys?
Well, within Saving Black Boys, 1911, I've developed, I'm in the process of developing I consider it a life-saving presentation. I'm going to illuminate and expose the whole thing. I wish I could pull it up or share some of it right now, but you're going to see. I mean, you're going to see lyrics in it. I'm exposing the lyrics. I mean, you're going to see pictures of Nipsey Hussle dead. You're going to see pictures of Pop Smoke dead. You're going to see pictures of Mo 3 gunned down. I mean, I'm going to expose the whole thing, the lyrics. So I guess to answer your question, I'm going to try to do it through presentations. I don't know. I'm kind of scared, to be honest, because people don't want to hear the truth about this music. So I don't know. I need some help. We're new. Like if you go to savingblackboys1911.com, I'm mentoring. I'm planning on being a life coach. I want to be a life coach to teach young black boys how to survive in these streets, how to move when you're in the grocery store, how to move when you're in the club, how to move when you're in the movie theater, and the teachings of Dr. Millie Fuller Jr. But to answer your question, I plan on utilizing presentation, lectures, and speeches and things of that nature, just to expose the whole thing and my story, use my personal story about how I got shot in the back, close range with a 38 caliber pistol, and what that felt like, and how I thought I was dead, and I woke up the next morning and the doctor looked me in my eyes and told me I was lucky, and and just what I've experienced and what I learned. I've got a lot to teach young black boys because I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina, and I went to school to pursue a PhD in higher education administration. And that program was embedded in white supremacy. And somehow, out of all that white supremacy we studied, I discovered what I refer to as black misery, the black secret, and it has to be exposed. So I plan on using basically my education, the same thing I've been doing my whole life, teaching, but it's not going to be teaching about the history of higher education or teaching about philosophy. It's going to be the real thing. I mean, because what is it? Every month, every other month, a rapper dies. So yeah. I've got a presentation right now that I consider life-saving information. I love to be booked to speak to young black boys in Durham, Raleigh, Detroit, Michigan. I mean, I think this one presentation I'm putting together right now, I think will save a lot of lives. It's just a matter of I need some help.
maybe through this connection, that's the one thing that I like about the show is that I meet new people, you meet new people. You're on
Right.
the show that you and Calvin can chat and talk and whatever. And Barbara, so Barbara, along with your posse that you brought on stage, DJ Joyce, Red Dragon, and Rage, and your fiance, listen, tell me what your pack is going to do. The name of your pack again is you go ahead and state what the name of it
It's
is.
United Coalition for Hip Hop Culture. So,
Okay.
in addition to that, I guess let me start from the beginning. I hold a master's in criminal justice and security. So, I have written a reentry manual for those getting out of incarceration, which North Carolina Department of Public Safety has. Really, a lot of what we're trying to do is to bring back the original concept of hip hop, to give our people a voice. And so we actually, I organized and wrote up a curriculum, social emotional learning program called our youth arts program. And so my fiance and DJ JC, we actually have a connection with our local arts council here in Pitt County in North Carolina, Greenville. And so this is the second year in which they would go out. They're teaching positive aspects of hip hop. They're teaching DJing and the other elements of hip hop to our youth. But once again, not glorifying other music. What we're doing is we're giving them a voice to create their own music. And using their voice to just exercise, their thoughts, their feelings. Like I said, once again, give them a voice. Our pack came up, me running for U.S. House. I just finished this run, and we found out that so many Black and brown people did not vote. And the reason why they're not voting is because they feel that they don't have a voice. And so this pact is utilized once again to give them a voice, to bring awareness, to educate. And like I said, just overall give a voice, because I think that's really what's missing in our community. We are, committing crimes, committing violence, but what do you do when your back is up against the wall? It's only so much that, you can have doors slammed in your face, talking about the ones getting out of incarceration, doors slamming in their face. They're trying, you have no outlet. And so what we're trying to do is ultimately give back the power to our Black and brown individuals.
So DJ Joyce, you know what? I'm gonna go to Red Dragon because you were the first on here, and I was like, "Who is this guy? I don't know this guy." And then I realized I had put the link in here, but nobody usually does anything until the show starts. So Red Dragon, you're part of this coalition, I assume. I know you
Yes,
are.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me your role in it and why you decided to get involved with it.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for having me on board here with all the brothers and sisters on here. And yes, I'm one of the leaders of the Zulu Nation. So we taught all the stuff that y'all saying now. We've been pushing that for years because we already seen what was going to already happen.
I see.
And whatnot. Yeah.
I see.
So I got with my brother DJ Booski and Barbara because they was on the same thing that we was on. And still on, you know what I'm saying? So but the thing is, y'all have to realize all this was already planned and set up from the beginning. That's not hip hop. If you don't represent all the 5 elements of hip hop, it's not hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So it's sad that, like your brother said, every week there's another rapper getting killed.
Right.
That's because their contract is up. They sign these contracts not knowing that they have a lifespan, it's short. So when the contract is up, they're up. Because they worth more money dead than they're alive. And then that's sad, you know what I'm saying? And also you got these little record labels are run by gang members, drug dealers. You know, this is the new drug game. You know, so all this music that you're hearing now is all gang affiliated. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so that's why these guys are getting killed because of these certain contracts.
DJ JC, you want to make a comment?
Yes, good evening, everybody. One thing I did want to clarify. I do a lot of these panels. I used to go around to the schools in New York and talk to the youth and stuff. There's, like Red Dragon said, there is a separation of rap music and hip hop.
Yes.
Everybody always criticize hip hop. It's not hip hop.
I
Hip
don't call
hop
it.
consists. It's five recognizable, but then you want to attach fashion onto it as well. You have your DJ, your MC, your graffiti, breakdancing, knowledge, and fashion. So, like he said, if you're not dealing with all five, you know, it's a lot of ingredients to make a cake. You don't put all ingredients in, it's not a cake. So we want to move from that. Like you said, also too, original, like you said, it was a way for communicating, enjoying yourself, love, peace, unity, and having fun. And it somehow there were records, as you said, what were we doing before? There were records, but it was groups were never promoted on the positive side.
Right.
You had your Public Enemies, you had your X Clans, you had your KRS One, Boogie Out Productions, you had
Those.
your Poor Righteous Teachers. These
Yeah.
guys were not promoted as NWA, Ice T. You know, the list goes on. That just everybody from after them. But you know, we're at a low point because we're making more money, but we're not productive with our money. You know, like you said, you're killing off the young. What are the kids 10 years from now? Who they gonna go see? I still go see the old school perform, and I love it. Feels good.
Right.
Who's my son who's 23? Who's he gonna go see?
Nobody.
All his guys are being wiped out. So we have to take accountability first and foremost. Then we also too have to reach back and teach those coming up behind us. Because
Right.
if we don't teach them, then there is no future.
Right. Right. Rage, I'm gonna let you say something. How you doing?
I'm okay. Thank you for having me.
Uh-huh.
I am actually new to the family. I teamed up with everybody because of just things that I've done and grew up with going through Philadelphia. I'm a Philadelphia native. I moved to Atlanta. Like everybody on this panel said, it's just a sad tragedy. These rappers are getting killed, but that's not music. What these kids are glorifying today is not music. I wouldn't dare call that music. I would call it a hot mess.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
don't I don't want I don't want my son. My son is 7 years old. I don't
I
want my son. I don't want my son listening to that.
Right. 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 But unfortunately, the kids are listening to it. They can repeat all the words of it, including all the profanity, everything else, which back in the day, that was not allowed. It was not allowed. I'm sure I'm older than all of you guys. Do you remember when what's that lady in Congress? She used to always wear a turban on her head. She was trying to get a lot of the gangster rap stuff banned off the radio and stuff. What was that woman's name? And do you remember when Tipper Gore insisted? Remember Tipper Gore when she was the second lady? When she insisted on getting warning labels on albums, back in the day when we had the albums and actually more people were using CDs and stuff, to put parental warnings on the music that people were purchasing. You remember that?
See Dolores Tucker.
See Dolores
There you
Tucker.
go.
That's right. That was her. And everybody back then was saying, well, we don't know. It's gonna be okay. The younger me, some other people were thinking, they're just being fuddy duddies or whatever. But the same thing into a computer, garbage in, garbage out. If you keep repeating that same crap, that garbage, the negativity, all of that, we see and are living with the results. See and living with the results. Reginald, these Rage and DJJC and Red Dragon, are y'all all from North Carolina? Are y'all all here in North Carolina? No.
No.
I'm
I,
I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, Fort Greene. I
But
live in Windsor, North Carolina. Yes, ma'am, North
okay, you're in
Carolina.
North Carolina. What about you,
Yes.
Rage?
I'm originally from Philadelphia. I live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, you're in Atlanta. Okay, well, good. There's a good diversity. But at any rate, listen, with the internet, email, text, whatever, it would be so great that you guys kind of help Reginald with what he's doing and Calvin with what Calvin's been at it for a long, long time. So, Calvin, listening to these guys, how many times, because I know you do this ongoing mentoring, you have been doing it for years, since what, 2008 or before?
2007.
2007. See, I was
Yeah,
close.
yeah.
So have you had to deal or have you had conversations with some of the kids about the music?
No, our conversations, we because we do parent restoration
Uh-huh.
in our work, so we make sure that when we're talking to the young men, we're talking to them about leadership, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Accountability, right? Self-worth. These
Mm-hmm.
are the types of things. We got 11 pillars of character they got to follow, right?
Mm-hmm.
We teach our young men to lead. We keep it simple. They have to do community service. About time they get through our process, they're a little more mature. We run ball sessions for the parents, so the
Mm-hmm.
mom catches new information. So when the boy goes back into the home, she
Mm-hmm.
has new information. Then we have Father's Day, the first Monday of every month. We bring the dads in, and then at the end we do a family day. Then we bring everybody together.
Mm-hmm.
But since Pam been doing this work for 37 years, from coaching high school basketball, right, going to the community and getting these nonprofits in my hand. And people think because you got nonprofits, they think it's easy. They think you're gonna get grants. And what the real process is when you really look at the statistics, males have been in danger, right? And we don't really get into these processes. Music is just one.
Mm-hmm.
The gang culture is just two. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
drug culture is just three.
Mm-hmm.
The pills now four. Fentanyl five.
Oh,
Domestic abuse, being abused as a child six. ACEs, right?
yes.
Adverse childhood seven, right? Direct trauma, right? So when we are getting into these situations and these conversations, talking about is just music. This is what's shaping the music, and it's a draw
Mm-hmm.
because what we have done, as I said before, what we have done and what we need to be doing
Mm-hmm.
is but you do have, before I say that, you do have gospel hip hop, which is coming up fast and it's
Mm-hmm.
growing, and some very positive stuff there, right? But as we are looking at solutions, which I'm hoping that's what we want to provide, as we're looking at solutions itself, we're gonna have to take a look at a lot of statistics. Right now, Black boys 5 to 11, number one in suicide. So we started a smash suicide campaign back in 2019. Black
Uh-huh.
boys are number one, 5 to 11 suicide, right?
That
Uh,
is crazy.
right,
5 to 11. Because
5
I
to
know
11.
I've seen some mentioned on the news, but I just haven't. Oh God, that's
Right.
awful.
So but the how do we solve what we're talking about, right? Where do we get
Right.
into solving these issues? Brother Reg is gonna give up time. Rage, DJ Joyce, Barbara, all these people want to give up time to try to solve an issue that we're faced with. But
Mm-hmm.
what we have to understand is the conditioning. That piece, we gotta uncondition ourselves
Mm-hmm.
from a culture of saying our families are no good and expecting our families to give us money when we just had this bright idea, but we don't have nothing else. We got to really change how we see these things. That conditioning is very, very dangerous. And what happens is the words go into our system, the DNA record it, and it'll play out in your seed because the man is the seed carrier. So everything that he does is recorded on that seed. Everything. So if it's foolishness, it's on that seed. All of that is recorded on the seed. The only way that we can help is be there. Another reason why our children are dying. Black kids 2 to 4, everybody yelling and screaming like this violence is brand new. Like
No.
all of a sudden this is brand new. Black kids ages the literally 2 to 4, the number 2 way for a black child to die is gun violence, being shot, being murdered, right? Suicide 10 to 24, 5 to 11. I can give you numbers all day. What impacts that, right, is us as men, the man and the male out of these different cultures, right? And as fathers, govern everything within our reach and assist and help. And then it's on the culture to come out of their places and support, right? And uplift our men. We don't do it. We've been throwing a boy starting at the daycare. Black boy is the most kid removed from any educational system from daycare all the way through college. He's number one removed, period. These
Respect.
are the things that we have within our hands. It don't have nothing to do with they. It's everything about we. We give they way too much credit. And if we gave we credit, they wouldn't stand a chance. We winning. We're still winning as we speak. Even with all the stuff that's happening, we got wins happening everywhere. We could do much better when our men decide to unite and not get caught up in they. And that's it. That's about as simple as I can make it. There's some other solutions, but when you talk about what we've been doing since 2007, we've impacted over 22,000, 68% male. And all my boys are husbands and fathers. Every last one of them.
I like the fact that you said husbands, that they're making the decision to actually marry, because what we don't talk about enough among black folks is that when we come together as husband and wife and we truly work that thing out right, it builds wealth in our communities. It builds wealth. Listen, I know plenty of us sisters, we say we can do it all, and we have, and you know, whatever. But let's not make that an anthem in which we wave the flag and be so super proud of it. It's a good thing to be able to do if you must, but it is not should it let's not wear it as a badge of honor that we don't need our men. Period.
You're not
Uh,
winning.
no, we're not,
You're not
because
winning.
we need one another.
We
We
need each
are
other.
the only group of people that say, "Oh, I don't need a man." No, that's a lie. I
Yeah.
need one. I need a good one, but
Yeah.
you need a man.
And that's where we come in, and because black women are the least married in the world. United States black women are only married at 17%. They're the least married woman in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Black women have a 41% divorce rate. They're the highest divorce rate. So
Mm-hmm.
when you get into that, black men, look at where we are, look at where they are. Being
Mm-hmm.
separate, being
Mm-hmm.
separate has not worked for us.
No, it did. It
Sure,
no, it
sure.
has.
It has not worked for us. So for us and brother Reggie and everybody on here, Sister Barbara, I'm sure um, everything she sees is tragic,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in that process. And so I just, this it's a heavy subject. Music is just one part of it. But I'm
Yes.
telling you, as I look on this call, I see one, two, three, four, five. There's 5 black males on this call.
Mm-hmm. And Red Dragon is trying to get back on, but
Right.
his connection is messing up.
That'll be 6.
Yeah,
I
but
love
listen.
every last one of y'all. We can do more. We can do more, and we should do more. And we got to plan and do more for our communities just within the circumference of our children. So every person that's involved with your son or your daughter,
Mm-hmm.
you got to govern that, and that's just some of the ways that we can really be better. And it's difficult because we want to be supported, we want to shine,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But if we don't show our males in a successful manner, our boys won't strive
Mm-hmm.
to be what they see.
Right.
That's why they over in hip hop. That's why they over there, because y'all got the cameras on all of that.
On the fake hip hop.
Yeah. I mean, on the gangster rap, all of that. Correction.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why they over there, and that's why gun violence is a norm. And then don't get me started on the video games.
Yeah, well, yeah, because
video games.
That's a whole, all of this media is just crazy. Totally crazy. Barbara, I want to hear from your fiance. I don't know his name, but I see him. Hey there. Tell us what you tell us something good. Tell us what you're thinking about with this conversation. Add to the conversation.
I want to mirror what the brothers and you have said about the music and how it's going, how it started, and I want to add, because I'm military, ex-military. I want to add frequency in. When hip hop first came on the scene in '73, the frequency was different. Now you have a different frequency where you are like a zombie. You can't dance. Like when our music was out, you had a bop. You could dance, you could pop, you could do this, you could do that. Now it's zombie music. It's
Uh-oh, he froze up. He froze up on us. The connection got weird. Reggie, you fill in for us.
Yes, it's definitely zombie music. I'm gonna give you two things. I'll give you two experiences, things that I've experienced. I know is zombie music. When I was reading about hip hop and really understanding how detrimental this is to our youth, I came across an author. I can't remember her name. She said, young black boys listening to rap music in the morning is equivalent to feeding them cyanide every morning. And that quote stuck with me. And the reason why it stuck with me, because I grew up, like I said, I grew up in the suburbs wanting to be a thug. I was a wannabe thug. So I moved to Baltimore, and I'm teaching in Baltimore City Public Schools. And I'm like, hold on. These kids are like, it's like a hypnotic spell. It's like all day long, they just walking around all day long, headphones in, all day long. That's all they listening to. Coming down the hallway, that's all it is, all day long. Well, I'm gonna tell you this though. This is when I really knew it was zombie music for real. And we. This is when I really knew we were like lost as a people. I was doing Grubhub, and at this time, like I said, I'm going through my woke stage, so I'm listening to everybody. Umar Johnson. I'm just all these black scholars, right? I'm just listening to these people all day long. I was doing Grubhub. I was delivering food, and I remember going down York Road, going towards Towson, and I looked to my right, and I see a young boy walking down the street, headphones in, just rapping, just in a hypnotic stage, right? So long story short, I come back up the street. Okay, I'm still delivering food. I'm coming back up that same road. A whole another young boy coming down the other side of the street. Same thing. And then, but this is the thing though. So then I noticed this all over Baltimore City. You driving through Baltimore City, them boys be at the bus stop. Them boys are completely brainwashed from murder music. And it's in every black community all across the country. You go to St. Louis, it's the same thing. You go to Richmond, California, it's the same thing. You go to Raleigh, it's the same thing. I can go down here to my homeboy's house right now. We're 40 years old. Them boys out there still listening to that gangster music. And it has done nothing for us. And what happens is you turn 40 years old, you can't even go to the car lot and get you a car because you don't let this music brainwash you into getting a felony. And I'm telling you, I know from personal hand experience what this music has done to myself, some of my family members. But like he said, though, it's not just the music. It's the fatherless homes. It's the single parent homes, the welfare back in the day, the drugs. It's everything. But my focus at SavingBlackBoys1911.com is really right now the music. But I can get into like the marijuana. You got Dr. Wesley Muhammad. You gotta read that book. He's got a book strictly about the marijuana and how it's effeminizing the black man, and it's a lot. So it's not just the music. But you can find us at SavingBlackBoys1911.com. Allow me to be your son's life coach, and you know, just teach these kids a different way of life, man. We grow up thinking it's like we grow up really thinking like this is what we're supposed to be doing. But you're really supposed to be learning computer science, man. My friends that didn't fall for the hip hop, that didn't fall for the dumb stuff, and we're 40 years old, them boys making $200,000 a year because they knew it was all BS. And we were sitting back there studying Tupac, studying Jay-Z, studying Nas. I still know all those lyrics to this day. And what did it get us? It didn't get us nothing. It didn't get us anything. I mean, it got a lot of us brainwashed to the point we went to prison. Some of us got so brainwashed, we got killed. Then I went to Baltimore City. Oh, Lord. Can you imagine seeing a whole city of zombies?
I had never thought of it that way, or even conceptualized that that's what we're seeing when you see the young kids with the. You're right; they are kind of like transfixed.
It's like they're in a hypnotic spell. It's like they're hypnotized from
frequency.
Yeah,
from trap music.
You said it though. What
What'd
Reggie just said. What did Reggie just say? His friends that didn't pay attention to it, they making 200,000. Very first thing you need to teach every black boy and every black child before the age of 5 is literacy. If you are not teaching these kids to read, you need a system to feed. You got to teach these kids how important that literacy is, and you can give them their stories, right? You can give them their stories. You can give them everything that they need, right, to go into it. You know, because that's really what the issue is. How do we really make things happen? Is reading.
Yes, and readers are leaders, as I like to say. Barbara, your fiance, you know what? You didn't tell me. He didn't tell me his name when he started talking, and he got cut off. Your connection got cut off. Oh no, they went away again. Oh, shoot, Red Dragon, you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, I got cut off too, so I got back on. But yeah, his name is DJ Booski 808.
Oh, DJ Booski 808. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. They're trying to get back on again. I see them.
Right.
Okay,
There you go.
Okay, DJ Booski 808. I think I got your name right.
Yes.
What else were you gonna say? We got disconnected. You were talking about.
No, I was saying the frequency from the music. Like I said, I'm ex-military, and if people don't know, the military uses frequency to make you do crazy stuff.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yes.
Music from the past was on a different frequency, where it was positive music, had you in a positive vibe. This music, like the brother just said, has you walk around in a zombie state. You can't dance to it. You can't. It's terrible.
Frequency. That is.
Yeah. The frequency though.
That was real.
No, it's real.
Yes.
The frequency. Back in the day, we was doing music. We was on a high frequency, so it would elevate your mind, made you think. The music the frequency they use now is on a lower frequency, so you use your lower self. You know what I'm saying? Mind control. Mind control is really real through the music, through the videos, everything that we deal with. Even in the big cities, it was tested like the sirens that go on them with the police and stuff, the sirens and stuff, and mess with your equilibrium.
Yeah.
It throws you off balance.
Wow.
So it's really real.
Barbara, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Listen, since you are the reentry expert and dealing with people that are coming out of prison and trying to get them back into society, have you
hold on 1 minute? We're dealing with our sound.
Okay. I can hear you pretty good.
Hello?
You can hear me. Can you hear me, Barbara? Can you hear me?
They're
It
going
says
again.
connected.
Oh, there she go.
We're connected. You're just in the dark. That's all. Can you hear me?
Okay, I hear you now. Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask you is that since you're the reentry expert and you're dealing with these young people who are coming out of prison and whatnot, have any of them talked to you about how they got there and how they want to change their lives from what they were doing that got them there in the first place?
So usually, what I do is I'm actually trained in risk needs assessments. So for the guys, I do the level of service case management inventory, and for women or girls, it's the women's risk needs assessments. So what that does is it gives a potential recidivism rate as required, by DPS or whoever. But then we focus on like what those individuals need. So, we don't necessarily just dwell on the past, so to speak, but we do work towards finding resources to help them move forward. Now, if they do want to talk, we can provide, that mentoring service. We do have peer support. I'm actually trained as a peer support. My fiance is trained, and then I'm also trained as a peer support supervisor. And so what that does is it's people with that lived experience in either mental health, substance use, criminal justice, and or veterans. And then there's other forms of peer support as well. But it's more so just providing that mentoring and just providing that listening ear for those individuals.
I see. Okay. Gotcha. So, Reginald, what are you thinking? I'm curious as to what you're thinking as a person who's just getting your organization off the ground and you're hearing all of this expertise from a variety of sources and what have you. What are your thoughts? What are you thinking now?
Honestly, I just like the brother said here is just coming up with some solutions. When I was studying at Morgan State University, that school, that program was embedded in white supremacy. So one of the things that the scholars said that the racist white folks need to do, they need to learn how to unlearn whiteness. So in the Black community, what we need to do, one of the solutions that we have to utilize, we have to teach these young Black boys how to unlearn a fatal thought process. That's basically what happens in regards to this trap music and this gangster mentality and this thug culture. We have basically started thinking backwards, and we have to unlearn that. We have to find a way to unlearn this backwards way of thinking that comes from trap music, drill music, gangster mentality, that low frequency he was talking about. I don't know. I just know that something has to be done. I mean, in Baltimore City, I couldn't believe it. I sat down here in Raleigh, North Carolina, my whole life pretending to be a thug. And I sat down here pretending to be a thug, and then I got to Baltimore and I realized, hold on, there's 300 black men killing each other every year. I said, hold on now, this ain't fun no more. This ain't cool. I can't really bop my head. So as I'm learning all this information, I'm still in the clubs though. So I still see how gone we really are because I'm in the club. So I mean, you ask me what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of a solution. How can we change it? I just had my first son. He's 1 year old. I was shot in the back at 30. I was shot in the back, and I come from a silver spoon. I like to get shot. So I don't know. Gun violence in the Black community. We got to come up with a solution. I don't know what the solution is, but I think one of the solutions is unlearning that gangster mentality. That, and also that keep it real mentality too. Because see, that keep it real mentality comes from that trap music and all that stuff. I mean, next thing you know, you're 18 years old and you think I got to keep it real with my homeboys for the rest of my life. I got to throw my life away for these guys. Just because this is the code that we're living by. No snitching and all that gangster mentality stuff, and it leads you to nothing. And then by the time you turn 40 years old, like I said before, you can't even go to the car lot because you can't even get a job. You're miserable. Now you're 40 years old. You miserable because you've allowed yourself to get brainwashed from this trap music, but you got those friends that didn't get brainwashed from those trap music. from that trap music. Now those guys 40 years old, they shining. Now you want to kill them. Now you want to shoot them down, and that's the black community.
But it also goes back to what Calvin said. With men, us as black men not being in the home, you devastating your home. These kids is out here wearing jeans tighter than the females. They wear eyeliner, fingernails, and weave. Come on now, we got to do better than that.
Yeah, my father was in my life, and you know, my dad was born in 1935. He just passed away 2 years ago. My daddy was born in 1935, and I remember how he would react when he heard Tupac say, "They got an APP out on my thug family." I remember how my dad reacted to that. Cause see, my dad came from a time where it wasn't no gangster rap.
No, of course.
How my dad looked at that. I remember him just like what are they talking about? What are they talking about? So we've gotten away from ourselves. In my opinion, we almost becoming a lost race. I hate to say it now. I mean, you got blacks, you got successful blacks, of course. Where we know that we have prominent black folks in our community, but we're going down a road that doesn't look too good. And there's also a book by Talib Starks that I recommend you guys to just check out, man. It's called Talib Starks is out of Philadelphia. He's a black guy. The name of this book is called Confronting the African American. It's called Blacks versus Niggers. Confronting the African American subculture within the black community. I consider that a must read. And also, young black boys, they need to study Dr. Neely Fuller Jr., the teachings of Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. Have any of you guys ever heard of Dr. Neely Fuller Jr.?
Have you, Calvin?
No.
I have.
I think that can lead to solutions as well. Just unlearning is what I call a fatal thought process.
And I think that's what we're talking about when I say unconditioning, right? And moving the aspects. I'm right there with you, brother, on unlearning a number of things. But as the brother said, and as we have to take a look, one, we didn't know the value. Recently, they came out with a statistics that a number of us under age of 35, all these kids have both parents in the household. Right, this recently come out. The black man is the most involved father, but he's not the most in the house involved father. Right, these are statistics that show the shift is happening. What has happened is that when we talk in our natural state of protection and providing, this is a natural state for us as men. When a man says, "Hey, baby, don't go that way," because we automatically think he's hating. And because if I can see, no, I don't want you to really go that way, might want to take a look, because it's a natural gift for a man to protect you. But you are not even privy or can hear him protect you. And plenty of times we walked into these things. And so what I want to share on solution wise, when it comes to men, black fathers, right? The process, of course, if we look at the system doesn't want us to get up. When you saw the money go out, they put $12.8 billion in the women's programs. They built 2,000 shelters, none for men. So they put all this money where they want to benefit, so they can benefit from in that process. So and when we look at it, they didn't do that for the male. Why? Because there are so many people eating off the male. When I worked at the juvenile, and I came out and they were bringing in boys to fill up the bed, and I snapped. That's when I went out and grabbed 350 males. Me and another guy came together. We grabbed 350 males on the east side, pulling them out the way because they was picking these boys up on Ritz. And what I'm constantly seeing is we got individualism down to a T, but we don't have this family thing down to a T.
No.
We speak negatively about this family thing. So here's why I raised the value in 2023. I'm going to continue to raise the volume on how important males are to males and females, to men and women, to husbands and wives. When a man shapes the language for his child, So in other words, men, we don't baby talk, right? When I dropped the book, we don't baby talk.
No.
When I dropped the book, 15 Things You Didn't Know About Fatherhood, infant mortality. When the husband is present to the child, infant mortality doesn't exist. Men take away infant mortality, another powerful protective measure. Um, when the father is in the child's life from birth to 3, he never leaves that child. He remains in the child's life consistently, fighting or whatever the case may be in that child's life. Fatherhood is the antidote, but we don't value that fatherhood. And so we have to get to a place where we are loving our fathers, our males, and our boys early, not with telling a 5-year-old he's the king, not telling a 5-year-old he's the man of the house. You're doing much damage to a boy when you telling him it's bad, right? Um, and here's the thing that women cannot bring that men bring, and God did this. When a child has his father from birth to 9, the child lives longer. We have been killing our boys with the absence of fathers. And culturally, we bought into a system, right? As Martin Luther King said, it was on fire from the word go, and we just blew out into the system, and now we fall for anything and we stand for nothing. So a lot of us are starting to stand, and everybody got to get to a place where these things are more important. The last one I want to share, if you have video gaming in your house and you have violent video gaming in your house,
Get
and
it.
you are handicapping the child, because the cognitive development of the boy, when everybody is talking about the boy is his frontal lobe cortex and all of that, that only came into play, and we keep repeating stuff that they tell us and making it manifest, that only came into play when we removed the father. You wasn't even having this conversation when the father's present, because when the father's present, a boy is learning from his species. He cannot learn from a species that in the house where the species does not look like him, does not move like him. And so we're causing brain damage to our boys, leaving them in environments where it doesn't mimic who he is. So in that process, that's where I believe we have to go. And again, Pam, as I'm sharing, there is a lot more that we can get into about this. But I
We
just
probably will do a part 2 on this show,
Yeah.
because I think that I saw that Reverend who was it? Reverend Gregory Devon had a long thing here that he had put up, and you guys have so much to add and so much to say. I'm going to leave it with Barbara, and then we're going to sign off for the night. Barbara, you get the final word before we say goodbye to everybody.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, I fully enjoyed this conversation. I would like to network with each and every one of you. In addition to, my team that came on, thank you all so very much. I still stand strongly. Mr. Man, I love your commentary. We must talk. You and Reginald, we have to conversate after. But yeah, we music in turn, everything we know as Black and brown people deal with music. When you think our heart, we have a heartbeat, and when it comes down to, and even if you want to take it like Christianity, Satan was the master of music.
He was.
And so, everything we know deals with music, and we can use music in a way positively, and we can use it in a way for negativity. What we have to do is we have to work together to find a way to use it positively, so that we can in turn take back our culture. Our culture, hip hop is our culture, and we have to take it back. We have to find ways to take it back. So I thank you all once again for having us on. I'll yield my.
All right. Listen, and to my audience, I thank you so much for all of your comments. I didn't read them off like I normally do because we had so many different people talking. I just put it up there. But I appreciate every one of you. And we're going to do a part 2, and we'll get into some other things and talk more solutions, and just so that we keep the conversation going, because I really do believe, I believe this wholeheartedly, is that the more air and light you bring to an issue, the more you can make it happen. We can manifest what it is that we want to see in the world. We really can. And it doesn't take a whole lot of people to start a flame or a fire to happen either. And I appreciate you guys so much. I want to wave everybody off, goodbye, and then I will make sure, Barbara, that you get Calvin and Reginald's information. Okay. All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you all.
Good night. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Take care. Be safe.